Hi, welcome back. We're going to go to school today. I'm bringing out the teacher side of me. I've got my whiteboard and my eraser pen. So we're going to talk a little bit about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So much of the therapies that are out there have kind of originated or spun off of cognitive behavioral. And so I'm going to introduce you to that a little bit because it's really important to understand where our feelings originate from. Many times when people sit with a counselor, when they come talk to me, they think we're going to start with all the feelings that they're bringing to the table. And we are, even though feelings and talking about emotions and where they're coming from are important, it's more important to understand the process and how we get to where we're feeling. Okay, so let me explain that. We're going to call this Emotions and Feelings 101, and then I'm going to be making another video for next week called Emotions and Feelings, you guessed it, 102. So let me bring out my little whiteboard. I didn't write any letters or words on here because I didn't know if it would do that whole backwards video kind of thing. So if you can see my little guy here, we use this a lot in therapy, also in learning how to be a teacher. This little guy's served me well for many, many years. But here we have you and me, the typical person, our head, our soul, our heart, our spirit, and what we do with all of these things, okay? So here is where our feelings start. So many times people think that they start here. They don't. Feelings and emotions that we have start in our mind. So in our minds, we have thoughts, obviously. And where do our thoughts come from? Our thoughts come from random things. You know, they just pop into our head. We're not sure why we even had that thought. You know, driving down the road, you think of something and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? The other thing is that we do it on purpose. We fixate on something and we decide we're going to think about it and we're going to dissect it. And then there are things that come into our brain, our mind, and our thoughts from our environment, where we're at, how we were raised, things that we have not a lot of control over, but they're there because we're there. So then we have thoughts about where we are, what we're seeing, what we're observing. So those are a few of the ways that thoughts come into our mind. And when we have thoughts in our mind, depending on what we do with those thoughts, they lead to feelings and emotions. It is not the other way around. Oftentimes we think that our feelings are leading to our thoughts. It's not. It is all your thoughts lead to your feelings. And when we have feelings and emotions, it leads us to actions or inactions. We take action on our feelings, or we don't act because we don't feel like it. We don't do something because we have too many feelings on it, because we have thoughts about it, such as I'm not good enough, therefore I believe I'm not good enough, therefore I'm not going to even try. Now, I want to be very clear that with people with severe or even moderate chemical imbalances, this isn't necessarily what we're talking about. So people who are struggling with severe depression, manic type issues, this is not that. We're talking about the everyday person and the way that we struggle with our thoughts and our attitudes and our feelings, and leading to whether we want to do something or not do something. So if your mind is where your heart and your feelings and your emotions are coming from, my question to you is, what is consuming your mind? If we will take a step back and really focus on what is my mind really focused on, it might be a hint as to why you are feeling the way that you're feeling. If you're feeling very anxious, I would have to ask you, what is your mind consumed with? Our feelings start in our mind, and it's not going to be the other way around. I promise you, it's not the other way around. If I can change my feelings, then I'll think differently. I hear that a lot. If I can just change the way I feel, then it'll change how I think about stuff. Nope. You have to start with what you're thinking. Change the way you're thinking, and it will change the way that you feel. That's Emotions and Feelings 101. See you next week, and we're going to talk about what do we do with them and what kind of control do we have over our emotions and our feelings. Emotions 101 and 102. Hope this has been good for you. See you next week.